And very happy to have you both here, Brian and Sharon from Altius Group. Welcome.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having us.
It's great to have you, and welcome to the Personal Injury Education Foundation studio.
Here we are.
We are indeed.
This is very exciting to be part of this.
It's a very official, isn't it?
Yes.
It's very good. And we're at the Personal Injury and Disability Management National Summit for 2023. You've got a stand in our sponsored area there.
We do, booth 7, please.
Booth, yeah,
yes.
drop in.
We have been telling the market left, right and centre for about 3 weeks.
Yeah, come along, have a chat to you. Now, tell me about Altius Group. What do you do?
So I'll do this in a nutshell. Altius Group, we provide end-to-end integrated health services, return-to-work services and psychological care to the market. We have everything from health and safety, from early intervention all the way through to occupational rehab, through to treatment. And I think one of the things that really sets us apart outside of our national ability to deliver occupational rehab is our ability to also provide treatment from a psychological standpoint. So the Altius Group has over 150 psychologists that work with us and for us, and we can provide that care nationally, I guess without delay, which is what we see a lot of our customers unfortunately experience in their small towns or regional locations. So the beautiful part about our group is we can deliver that in a more effective and efficient way so people get care when they need it.
Now, we had a great chat earlier, Sharon, about, our childhood. I mean, mine was a lot earlier than yours, but... and, even to this day, our family's not understanding what we do. Now, to the average person in the street, occupational rehabilitation is quite a foreign concept, isn't it? So,
what does that mean?
What does it mean? And why would I, as an average person in the street, very average, need it?
So the way that I explain it is to say that if you have an injury in the workplace, we support you with helping you get back to work. So occupational rehab may not be actually about the treatment, so it might not be hands-on physiotherapy or chiropractic treatment to treat the back injury. It's all of the other things that become impacted when you have a workplace injury. So we go to the workplace, have a look at what you do. What is your job involved? What are the duties that you have to do? And how is that impacted by the injury that you've had at work? And then coming up with a plan to help support you back into the workplace, and then providing support throughout that duration of that process back to someone who's able to get back to their normal duties at work.
So I'm, heaven help me, I'm not injured at work, but I'm injured at work. Don't I just get better and go back to work?
Some people do. So always there's that proportion of people that do go back, but some people, either by the nature of the severity of the injury that they have, or the complexity of the work, the physical demands of the work or the psychological demands of the work, they're the ones that we work with. So we don't work with everyone that has an injury at work. Some people have a simple injury, back injury, they might not have any time off work, they just go back to work, they wouldn't have occupational rehab, but then there's the pool of people that need that extra support. So one of the critical things is getting in early to understand, well, who are those people that are at risk of having, more likely to have problems? Maybe it is because of the type of work that they do or the nature of the work, or maybe it is the type of injury that they've actually sustained, whether that's a physical injury or actually a psychological injury at work as well.
So the topic that we're talking about today is the future of work. What have you seen in terms of the progress of rehabilitation and what's been required by the changing workplaces? And what do you see in the future, and what's coming at you like a gale-force wind that you are preparing yourself for? Because things are changing, aren't they?
They are absolutely changing, and I think I've said a lot in the last 6 months, more than ever, how refreshing it is to see the market opening up to, accept the vulnerabilities that insurers have and the inability that many of our insuring partners have to provide services to psychological based injuries. And I think the market has seen such an influx in that. Our way of living is changing at rapid speed. Many of us can't keep up. And that's that has an effect at work as well. So we are seeing an influx in that space, as we all know, but there is an absolute willingness now in the market to partner with providers like Altius Group and openly say, we don't have the answers. Can you support us? So in the last 6 to 12 months, I've personally seen such a demand for services in that space, an appetite to innovate in that space and to partner with us, and to provide that care very early on in a claim. So there's a greater appetite in the pre-claim space to support people regardless of a primary psychological injury. You know, there's a greater acceptance that with physical will likely come an underlying psychological injury. And even the acceptance now that while the injury may be noted at work, a very significant proportion of that may have come from outside factors. So there's a greater approach to holistic healthcare and returning people to life. I think that's been the pleasing thing for me. The industry is certainly shifting to care for the person first, which will inevitably return them safely to work.
And what's your view about the future of work? Do you have a positive view of the future, or have we got some pretty big challenges ahead?
I think there's some challenges. I mean, you can look at obviously the impact that one talks about, the COVID impact, and you know, I see what's happening is that employers and organisations are still wrapping their head around what the implications are for workplaces. So we're still understanding what the impact of this whole working from home and hybrid working and perhaps shift to regional locations out of the city, and what does that mean? You know, what does that mean for professional development, for training? What does it mean for leadership? I would position that a lot of managers and leaders yet haven't developed that capability or that shifting capability of, well, how do I manage a hybrid team?
Yeah, exactly.
How do I manage a team? And it's a different skills, you know, it's a different skill set.
A team I've never met.
Yeah.
Or maybe I only see them once a week, or maybe I only see them once a month. And also, how do we deal with the osmosis of learning that happens when you're in an office? You know, just that incidental conversation, incidental experience, incidental listening to someone else of how they do something. If we're going to stay with this hybrid model of work, how do we mitigate the impact of those things that we're going to miss? We don't have, you know, we don't have all of the solutions to, and the understanding, I don't think, of the impact of that yet.
And I think the problems are still revealing themselves. We don't have a full appreciation of what some of the problems are yet.
Yeah, and people, you know, people are different, and, you know, N equals 1, every single person's different, and so some people respond very well to a very structured Monday to Friday, you know, face-to-face, being in an office, for example. Some people really flourish being at home, or they think that they flourish being at home. I think that's an interesting challenge for us in terms of the future at work, the people that think they perceive that they're flourishing by working from home. But I think over time, you know, my interest in mental health, I think I would argue I would position that perhaps that's not in everyone's best interest. We are social beings by nature. And so, you know, people that are electing to work from home, what the impact negatively that might have on mental health over a period of time, on burnout, on managing workloads. There's a lot to sort of question and answer, I think, that we're still working out.
I've discovered my social interactions are the Amazon delivery driver.
Yes.
And
it's an unhealthy interaction.
It's such an unhealthy.
They should not turn up that regularly.
And when they knock on the door, I'm like, yes, please stay.
I know. And I've had the experience myself, you know, where I've thought I love work. I enjoy working from home at times, particularly when I'm have a busy workload. And I sort of like to work from home, and so you could say, well, there's less interactions. Yep. However, if I've done that for a while and then I go into the office, it's all of a sudden there's this joy. I just think, oh God, I actually feel better. But really I thought I felt good at home. Yes. But actually I feel happier in myself just from seeing people. So I think we have to be really careful around this, how much flexibility we give people in terms of their choice of what they think is best for them, because I don't think we understand, and I don't think individuals can understand always what is best. And also, how do you put that choice for a younger workforce. You know what I mean? When you're still learning, like, how do you know? And also, is it best to have all of your older workforce at home and the younger ones in the office? Well, that's not good either for learning. So there's a lot of moving bits, isn't there?
There is. Yeah, the future's very uncertain.
I think one of the exciting parts for me, further to that though, is I guess the way that we have evolved and adapted the delivery of healthcare in that immediate space.
Yes.
So we have realised that we need to be able to deliver immediate care to somebody who may be living remote, to somebody who may be living alone, somebody who may be isolated, and and our ability and our willingness as a business to sort of pivot to the market's needs has been quite amazing to watch. We have critical incident response programs that we've got a psychologist immediately speaking to somebody who may have experienced trauma. That could happen at home. So you might witness a car accident or something, God forbid, and you've got immediate access, and we've tailored our delivery of services to meet that. But it's like we've said earlier, we're still learning everything that's come out of the past 2.5 years, which was such a concentrated period of learning.
Very intense.
I think the provision of telehealth is very exciting in terms of the opportunities, and that's definitely been a huge growth for us in our business. And I was actually having a conversation with an insurer earlier today who said that she works in the longer tail claim space and is working with us with some of our programs. And she said, we were asking her, what is it that you like? And she said, well, what I've been surprised about is the great outcomes that you're achieving with telehealth-based interventions. And she said, and so we had this conversation around, sometimes people are apprehensive because, and even, those stakeholders that make the decisions about the services are apprehensive. But then when they experience it, it's like, the outcomes are actually as good. And, I'm very passionate about service delivery in regional Australia. I grew up in small country towns. I still live in one now. And so to be able to see that people will have more equality and access to services, and that's something at the Altius Group, we are very passionate about in terms of delivering that equality of service delivery across Australia.
Well, thank you for joining us. Thanks for being part of our conference.
Pleasure.
It's great to catch up with you, and enjoy.
Thank you.
And best of luck. What a wonderful interview.